maybe touch base with Mike Freeman and get some input from him.
Okay, I'm gonna go last.
Yeah, I just moved in. I didn't want to make any waves. I didn't know if that was allowed.
I'm getting constant.
People get so creative.
Well, they have one of those big blue things in the front yard that goes like this all the time. You see in sales and stores, real tall wooden things. And I can see that from my kitchen window. And every time that thing goes off, my dog freaks out.
Yes.
And I thought it was fireworks for the longest time because it started right around the same time. And then it just kept going. And I kept saying to my wife, how many fireworks did we buy? Because it just is non-stop.
My one dog is scared to death of fireworks, but they set that off. He is just glued to me, yeah.
Legs shaking.
You ready, Tara?
Just a minute, we're adjusting the camera and chambers. Where is that deal? All ready.
Okay, I'd like to call the North Ridgeville Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call roll?
Members of the board, Kane,
Kane's here.
Smolik,
Present.
Masterson. She's been excused. Thibodeau,
Here.
Winkle,
Here.
Kimball,
Here.
members of the administration, Chief Building Official Firstham,
Here,
Assistant Law Director Morgan.
Here.
All present with one excused.
Thank you very much. Are there any corrections to the minutes dated June 25th, 2020? Hearing none, at this time, the motions will stand as stated. Are there any reports coming from the board this evening from Planning Commission?
Mr. Chairman, there is no reports at this time.
Thank you very much. If there's no other reports or correspondence, at this time, we'll move on to the public hearing. Will the clerk please read the first application?
Applicant Angela DiCaro, Joint Factory Direct, 1125 Berea Industrial Parkway, Berea, Ohio, 44017. Owner Pat and John Ginley, 3 Cadet Drive, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Requesting a 23-foot rear yard variance, requiring a 27-foot variance to NRCO section 1250.04B2. Location 3 Cadet Drive in an R1 residence district. Permanent parcel number 07-00-015-102-002. Mr. Chairman, would you like me to read the BZ or the Chief Building Official's comments?
Yes, please. If you could do that for every application.
Yes, sir. Chief Building Inspector's comments, 1250.04B2, R1 zoning required, 50-foot rear yard. Applicant requesting 23-foot rear yard requiring 27-foot variance. BZA approval required.
Thank you very much. Do we have a applicant here this evening with us?
Yes, I'm the representative of Joyce Factory Direct.
Okay, so if you could do me a favor and state your name and address, and I'll swear you in for the record.
Yep, name is Joe, Berea Industrial Parkway, Berea, Ohio.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalty of the law of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Could you tell us a bit about your application, please?
Yes, the homeowner's looking to have us build a sunroom addition on the back of the house. It's a 14 by 10 ground level addition. It's a ranch home. And my understanding is that the house itself isn't in compliance with zoning code currently because zoning law came into effect after the house was built. But we're, we're looking to add this sunroom onto the back of the house, hence the variance application that we're looking for.
So to be clear, you're going to be have a 23-foot rear yard instead of a 50 for a 27-foot variance.
Yep.
Looking at the overhead of the property, the way there's an angle between the house that you're proposing to construct this addition on and the home directly behind it, there's a slight angle where I could see that there wouldn't be any sort of visual impedance or anything that may disturb any of the adjoining neighbors, at least from what I'm seeing. There may be someone that feels differently, but seems to be a pretty straightforward plan. Are there any questions or comments from any of the board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just want to reiterate, I believe they only started with like 33 feet of the backyard, so it's pretty straightforward plan. Looks nice.
Yeah, I think it'll blend in nice with the area. Are there any other questions or comments from any board members? Is there anyone on YouTube Live that has any comments? Tara?
Mr. Chairman, at this time, we're having a bit of a technical difficulty. Can you stand by one moment, please?
We sure can.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I see no comments at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. If there's no other questions or comments from any board members, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. Kane.
Thank you. Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yeah.
Smolik, Smolik, Mr. Smolik, are you muted?
That was a yes. Sorry, I was muted.
Okay. Thibodeau
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries with a vote of 4-0.
thank you very much. For the applicant, we will have a signed copy ready at City Hall for you that we will mail to you in the next couple of days.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
are we all set with the building permit then, or is that still have to go? be processed?
You will still have to go and pull your building permit, but you're all set from our board standpoint.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Will the clerk please read the next application?
Nancy Bodson, 38834 Alden Avenue, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner, same. Requesting approval for a 6-foot tall and 100% closed fence, a 2.5-foot height variance to NRCO section 1294.01 H1B, and a 100% closed construction, a variance to section 1294.01 H3. Location, 38834 Olden Avenue in an RS1 Special Residence District, permanent parcel number 07-00-045-103-016 and -017. BZA comments from the chief building official. 1294.01 H1B, fences in residential districts from front line of building to street shall be 3.5 foot high and 50% open. Applicant requesting 6 foot high fence, 100% closed, requiring a 2.5 foot variance.
Thank you. Is there a representative here with us this evening?
Nancy's here.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and address, and I'll swear you in for the record?
Nancy Bondison, 38834 Eldon Avenue, North Ridgeville, 44039.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer God or unto the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your application?
I live on a corner lot with a dead end street. My street's a dead end and the street to my left is a dead end street. And my neighbor and I wanted to put up fences. Mine mainly is for security and privacy. Because I'm on a corner lot where the fence will be placed and how my house faces, if you pull out of any of the driveways on my street, across the street or at the stop sign, you won't even see my fence. So there's no obstruction at all or no impairment of anybody driving. That was why I really just wanted for security and privacy, mostly security.
Sure, I completely understand. And thank you for hinting about that from the visual impairment, because that is the whole point of having a corner lot with the 50% open and a certain amount of height restriction. Looking at your layout, and I've been down through your area, I agree that, I mean, you have it set 22 foot off of the right of way, and considering that there would be zero impairment from any sort of traffic or from vehicles or pedestrian traffic, I don't see this being any sort of safety concern, from my personal opinion.
Okay.
Are there any questions or comments from any board members? If hearing none, are there any questions or comments from YouTube Live?
No comments or questions at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And if there's no other questions or comments from the board or YouTube Live, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance for both height and opacity.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Widow, second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Molick,
Yes.
Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries with a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. And ma'am, same as the applicant before, we will have a signed copy ready for you at City Hall that we will mail out to you in the next few days.
Okay.
And you'll
Okay,
just
great.
have to go to the building department and finish processing your application.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, will the clerk please read the next application?
Applicant Keith Martin, MBD Homes LLC, 39186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner Keith Martin, 38186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Request an appeal of the chief building official's decision to require said applicant to install a sidewalk, citing NRCO section 1024.05 A and B. Chief building official's comments. 1024.05 A and B, new dwellings are required to have city sidewalks when there's an existing city sidewalk within 2,000 feet. Existing city sidewalk is less than 500 feet away. Applicant requesting variance.
Thank you. Do we have a representative here this evening? Do we have a representative for this application? Mr. Martin, are you present?
Mr. Martin is live chatting on YouTube.
That is going to be rather difficult to accomplish. Is he able to get on Zoom? I believe that's the instructions when they when everything's posted out, is to do it through Zoom, not through YouTube Live.
Yep, you're correct. Texting him that now.
What we could do is make a motion to table it to the end of the meeting to give him a chance to get on Zoom, since we have several applications left. And if he's unable, we'll have to push it back to the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for applicant Mr. Martin of 39186 Center Ridge Road to table his request until the end of the meeting, so that way he could get his communications upline.
Kane will second that.
Will the clerk please take roll for the motion to table Mr. Martin's application to the end of meeting?
Kane,
Yes.
Smolik,
Yes.
Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
Motion to table to the end of the meeting carried 4-0.
And that should give Mr. Martin a few minutes to try to figure out Zoom and get, hopefully he's not having to make a full account and set up, but we'll work with him either way. But for the time being, let's move on to the next application. Will the clerk please read the next application?
Applicant Ruth and Joseph Sina, 36556 Annie Lane, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner, same. Requesting approval of a 3-foot side yard for garage addition, requiring a 2-foot variance to NRCO section 128211 C4A. Location 36556 Annie Lane in an R1 residence district. Permanent parcel number 07-00-028-103-201. Chief Building Official comments. 128211 C4A, Chapter 1282 requires 5-foot side yard for detached single-family dwelling. Applicant requesting 3-foot side yard requiring 2-foot variance. BZA approval required.
Is there a representative here this evening?
Yes, Joseph and Ruth Sina are both here.
Thank you. Could you state your name and address for the record, and I will swear you in?
Yes, Ruth Sina, 36556 Annie Lane, North Ridgeville, 44039.
And the gentleman that's next to you, is he planning on speaking this evening?
No,
Okay.
you going to speak this evening?
Yeah, maybe. Yes.
Go ahead. Let's just hedge our bets and go ahead and have you state your name and address for the record, and I'll swear you both in at the same time.
Okay.
Joe Cena, 3665 356. I can't remember the name.
35665.
35665 Annie Lane, North
Thank you.
Ridgeville.
Do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Could you guys please tell us a little bit about your application?
Yes, the application is to add a third garage next to the existing 2-car garage to allow ADA access to the back patio area. Joseph is a 100% disabled veteran, and it seems to be our best solution in order to get him to the back without having him go through mud and
the car pulling in a 2-car garage.
we also have a relatively large disability van that takes up a lot of the space in the existing garage.
And then I'm looking at your blueprint that you had attached with your packet, and it looks like you're going to have a pass-through between one garage, the existing garage, and the proposed garage. Is that correct?
Yes, it would have the two garage doors on it. front and back.
And then this would put you approximately 3 feet off the property line, is that correct?
Correct.
Were you aware of the regulations when you built this house?
Madison Park. Complaint says there's a large gathering of women
No, not really.
Okay.
at Madison Park in the playground.
I know this is a newer area, and I unfortunately did not have a chance to get by and look at the property, so please bear with me for a moment. But I do appreciate that you have such detailed plans with your packet. Are there any questions or comments from any board members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I guess I have a question for the applicant. Is this for access to the rear, or is this for to park the van with handicap accessibility?
No, it's to have the room for him to manipulate in the 2-car garage to get into the handicapped side ramp vehicle. And then the other garage is to allow him to get access to the back patio area.
So just for clarification, when the van is parked in the garage, it's not big enough to access it from the side?
Well, there's a close to a 3.5-foot ramp that comes out from the side of the vehicle. So when I'm pulled all the way over to one side, I'm able to extend the ramp for him to have access to the vehicle.
So then that ramp will extend into this third garage bay, if you will.
No, the 2-car garage allows me to do that, but there's no additional room in there for anything else.
Okay, and then, I mean, for access to the backyard, a normal sidewalk would do, wouldn't it?
Well, I want him to have an area that he could go in if it rains or something, for him to quickly get out of the whatever weather, as opposed to having to come all the way around and then in through the front or in through the existing garage.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from any board members?
Mr. Chairman, how often does a side variance come up for us, and how does it affect the ADA with disabilities any different than any of the other properties?
Side yard variances are fairly common. We do see a number of them several times a year. As far as the ADA aspect of it, that is pretty much going to apply under that. Every application is its own individual entity. So there's really never a precedent set from one application to the next. So taking in any sort of ADA laws or regulations really doesn't have much to do with our application as I would read it. I mean,
Okay,
I understand that is their hardship and the reason of why they're here, but from like a set standpoint of our ordinances, there's really nothing in there about what to do in an ADA accessible scenario.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just for the record, I want to make sure the correct address is in there. It's 36556 Annie Lane.
That's
I know
correct.
they had some of the numbers backwards when they said them.
Okay.
That's it.
So we would have a 3-foot side yard. In order to make it code compliant without having to get a variance, you would have to take another 2 foot off of your garage, which basically makes it almost impossible to have any sort of normal single garage door. Yeah, that's tough. Are there any questions or comments from YouTube Live?
Mr. Chairman, we received a letter at the end of the day. I'm just going to read it verbatim. It is from Harry Salverson of 36544 Annie Lane.
Okay.
Dear Ms. Iofani, Sharon Sabatka and Harry Salverson, parcel number 07000281032002, are questioning the request for a variance regarding the addition to Mr. and Mrs. Sina's home. Our concern is the elevation of the structure will be approximately 2.5 feet higher than our existing subgrade and slope 3 feet to the property line. We feel this is going to be a water issue for us in the future. We would like further clarification on how this is going to affect our property and what provisions are being put into place to ensure we will not have a long-term problem. End of email.
I had discussed this with Harry today and also asked Mr. Martin from MDB to contact Harry to discuss his issues and that we would make whatever changes that we needed to make to satisfy his concerns.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions, comments, or correspondence concerning this application from YouTube Live?
There is not, but we do have someone in the audience that wanted to speak.
Oh, very good.
Holly?
Whoever was curious to speak. if they could
Mr.
speak up.
Chairman, it's Holly Swank, City Council Ward 1. I know the
hi.
area and there is a vinyl fence on the side of that house. Who does that fence belong to, and is that fence coming down or is it staying up?
There is
Ma'am,
no
could you
fence
answer that
next to
question?
the house.
Is that fence coming down or is it staying up for the construction?
There is no fence next to the house on either side.
There's no white vinyl fence on the left side if you're facing the home?
No, and if you're facing the home, the garage is going to be on the right-hand side, but there's no fence anywhere on the property.
What about the neighbors?
Does the neighbor have a fence?
No, they have a, what do you call it, the invisible fence for the dog. But that's on the opposite side.
Have you been by the property, Holly?
Yes, sir. I deliver down there once a week.
Okay, okay.
I was just
And
curious
it's
if
the fence-
that was gonna interfere with it or not, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure there's, when you're facing the home, there's a white vinyl fence to the left-hand side. I wasn't sure if it was theirs or the neighbor's.
I see, I see. Are there any other questions or comments from the administration?
No, Mr. Chair.
Guy first.
There's no other,
Department.
Yes, sir.
Record, ADA regulations do not apply to single-family homes. And if I'm not mistaken on this plan, they gave you a dimension from this proposed addition to the house on the adjacent property, which was more than 15 feet, if my memory serves me. Do I have my applications mixed up?
I'm looking through mine right now. That's quite a number of pages here. Let's see. It appears part of my blueprint didn't print out fully. And the topo I'm looking at I am not seeing the residence next door, so I must be missing a page.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, based on the documents they're giving us, I mean, it is showing a 3-foot new property, or I should say, basically it's 3 feet off the property line, based on the documents in their package.
I see the 3 foot off the property line, but the 15 foot to the neighboring structure, I don't see that portion.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't see it in any of my documents, but the blueprint printed up in several different pages, and I'm just not seeing it put together on my end here. Well, if there's no other questions or comments from any of the administration, YouTube Live, or any of the board members, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the variance for a side yard setback.
Do we have a second?
Kane will second it.
Thank you. Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Pollock,
Yes.
Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, the motion carries with a vote of 4-0. And I do believe our previous applicant, Mr. Martin, is now joined us.
Okay, fantastic. Let me pull those back up. And ma'am, Ruth,
Yes.
we will have a signed copy ready for you that we will have mailed out in the next few days. But you are all set with tonight's meeting and you're set to go, but you will still need to finish your permit application process with the building department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming out.
Stay on the seat of this one, yes. Oh, the other one's locked.
And moving on, will the clerk please read Mr. Martin's application?
Yes, sir. Applicant Keith Martin, MBD Homes LLC, 39186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner Keith Martin, 39186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Request an appeal of the chief building official's decision to require said applicant to install a sidewalk citing NRCO section 1024.05 A and B. Location 37740 Sugar Ridge Road in an R1 Residence District. Permanent parcel number 707-000-035-101-077. Chief Building Official's comments. 1024.05 A and B, new dwellings are required to have city sidewalks when there is an existing city sidewalk within 2,000 feet. Existing city sidewalk is less than 500 feet away.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, are you here with us this evening?
Mr. Martin, you may
Martin,
have to
you
unmute your microphone.
Mr. Martin?
Mr. Chairman, we're gonna ping him to make him unmute his microphone. We suspect that he's
Okay.
muted.
Looks like you might be going to get some help. Mr. Martin, are you able to hear us yet? Well, Tara, while we're waiting for him to do that, let's just go ahead and move on to the next application since we already have a tabled motion in order to place him at the end of the meeting. And we will come back to him and hopefully all his technical sound issues will be worked out.
Okay.
But for
Applicant,
now,
next applicant is Justin Flickinger, 6265 J Cox Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039, owner same. Requesting approval for an 8-foot tall fence requiring a 2-foot variance to NRCO section 129401 H1B. Location 6265 J Cox Road in an R1 residence district. Permanent parcel number 07-00-017-111-015. Chief Building Official comments. 129401 H1B, fences in residential districts from front line of building to the rear shall exceed 6 foot in height. Applicant requesting 8-foot high fence requiring a 2-foot variance. BZA approval required.
thank you. Is there a representative here this evening?
Yes. Justin Flickinger, 6265 J Cox Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039.
Thank you. And ma'am, were you planning on speaking on the application as well?
Yes, my name is Christy Schiffler, 6265 J Cox Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio.
Thank you very much. Do you both swear from the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your application?
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and speak for both of us. We're requesting the 8-foot fence because we have a dog, King Corso, that's 150 pounds. And when he stands on his hind legs, he stands over 6 foot tall. So we're trying to make sure we keep him contained into the fence. And we're afraid with the only 6-foot fence that he could climb over it. And the extra 2 feet would just be safety for everybody involved to keep him in our backyard. And we're going to make sure that's 100% privacy fence. So it's a solid fence. Closed.
We also have 4 other dogs that are
Large breed.
large breed.
But the main concern is our 150-pound Corso. Our next dog's 90 pounds. He's also tall, but not as tall as the Corso.
Okay.
And they're all rescue dogs. They've all rescued, and he's only 3 years old, and he still could potentially grow some more. We believe he's full grown, but just to make sure that, you know, our neighbors are safe and we can keep him safely in our yard, we feel like that would be the best way to handle the situation.
And do you have a 6-foot fence now?
No, we don't have any fence, right? Well, we do have a chain link fence on one side, but we're planning on replacing that and making an entire, our entire backyard fenced in with the larger fence.
Have you, so you said you have 5 of these large breed dogs, correct?
Yes.
Well, actually, we're down to 4 now.
One just passed away,
One passed on the
unfortunately.
4th of July.
So we're down
Oh,
to.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank
I'm a large dog owner myself, so I understand everything that's involved. An 8-foot fence in a residential property is, I've been doing this a long time, probably about 15 or over 15 years on this board. And I believe there's only been maybe once or twice that this type of request has been approved, and it was very unusual circumstances. Have you done any sort of training with the dog to not jump over a 6-foot fence?
Our dogs have went through training at Friendship APL with Don Hitchens. Unfortunately, because of his size, he he jumps up, and even with training, I mean, we don't believe that we would let him out there without us being out there anyways, but he has, he does have the potential to harm somebody. So we want to keep him in our yard. And we've talked to our neighbors and they seemed okay with it. They understood the reason. I mean, they've met him. He's very powerful, very big dog. So we're just trying to do everything we can to keep everybody safe. You know what I mean? And let him run and enjoy the yard.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from any of the board members?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I did visit the property. Like we deal with a lot. This is a very unique property as it is.
Yes.
The south is literally apartment complexes that are extremely close, 2-story. Their rear yard is actually a pool. So I'm assuming there's some type of family lives there. And the property to the left of them, or actually their north, is extremely close. They're almost pretty much surrounded. So I don't think the application is really far off just because of the uniqueness of the property. It would be safer for everybody in the area.
Well, we're definitely all for safety, and having a 150-pound dog potentially go after someone could be pretty rough real quick.
May I say something else, sir? The lady behind
Yes,
us
please.
that has the pool, they have several children, and we've talked to them, you know, the small kids, you know, and she's met our dogs, but, you know, we even talked to her about it, you know, trying to, you know, she says, I understand why you would want that taller fence just because of, you know, if there's a child outside or something. That's the whole reason we want it, is just to make sure our dogs are safe, the neighborhood's safe. You know, we don't want any problems.
And also to make sure that it would make it harder for a child to jump up and grab the fence, to look over top of it, or to stop a ball that a child has kicked to go over the 6-foot fence. I think that, you know, just for the safety in that as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out, when I did the drawing, the red line is not correct. It's the yellow highlighted part of where we actually want our fence on that side. Just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
For the applicant, it looks like there's a 10-foot utility easement going through here. I assume your proposed fence is going to be outside that easement?
Yes, it's going to be on our property. I'm going to leave enough room for you guys to do whatever you need to do down that easement.
Okay. All right, because I think your sketch shows it encroaching on the easement, but in reality, if the fence, it would be outside. Okay.
Correct.
It's actually replacing the existing fence that's there on that side. There is a chain link fence already there, and we would be taking that fence out and putting it in the exact same spot.
I'm sorry, what was the type of fence this is proposed?
A privacy fence, 100% closed.
Wooden.
Wooden dog ear.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question.
Yes.
In granting them a variance for a fence this big for, you know, the dog, is there how many gates are going in it? To where if somebody had to access that in an emergency is my only issue.
We will be putting, where it says fence on the diagram right there, that's going to be an 8-foot wide gate that swings out, as well as there will be a fence on the other side of the house, a gate on the other side of the house, on the easement side, that would be 2 foot wide or whatever that fence post is there. So we're going to have 2 gates that go into our backyard.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from any of the board members?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm having a hard time finding the hardship here. I don't know if we could. I mean, I guess as safety, do we have to look at the safety aspect as a hardship? I guess that'd be my question for all my colleagues on the board.
can definitely come into play as a hardship. But in this particular case, I am with you on the same thought, James. There are potential other options that may exist that can still possibly accomplish the same safety measures.
I guess the option is they didn't have to have the dogs. I don't
Well,
know.
that is an option.
Right.
But I was just thinking of a personal thing for me. I had a dog years ago who was a rescue dog that was able to jump my 6-foot fence. And completely, she would jump up, put her paws on the top of the fence, pull her hind legs up, and she was gone. She'd jump it all the time. So I completely understand what these applicants are talking about and going through. And what I had to do was work with training on the dog from, standpoints to not jump the fence. And even at one point in the training, had to hang an invisible fence on the fence. So when the dog got close, the dog would back up. And then even hire private trainers to come out and work with the dog to keep the dog from hopping the 6-foot fence. So there are other options, but safety of children is also a big concern as well. Something that needs to be taken into effect in the equation, no matter how you would vote. I mean, that still definitely needs to be part of it.
Can I say one more thing, please?
Yes, please.
Just so you know, the dog, when he stands on his hind legs, he does stand like 6.5 foot tall with his paws. He's a very tall dog, so you understand. I just want to make sure you guys understand that. I mean, this dog is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with King Corsos at all.
It's a giant.
I am.
He's a giant breed.
Mr. Chairman, I guess at some point, this is a residential area. I mean, I think the owners need to take that into account. This isn't like you're on a farm. I mean, an 8-foot fence it's gonna be like a Jurassic Park fence out there. It's gonna be huge. And the ordinance are established to set up certain guidelines or codes. So that way, all of a sudden, we don't have all these fences that are huge all over the place. I know there's a unique situation for this, but I'm just having a hard time with this because I think it's going to open up some problems with it for us down the road.
It potentially could. But as I had mentioned earlier, it is important to remember that every application is its own, each and independent, unique situation. But I do understand what you're saying. Are there any other questions or comments from any board members? Are there any comments from the administration?
No, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would indicate the discussion you're having is a very good one. You're looking at the various factors you need to look at, and there's no right or wrong answer here. And that's why you guys get the big bucks to make these decisions.
I'm sorry, I just realized I have my sunglasses on the whole time in this meeting. I apologize for that. That's not the most professional for the chairman to be sitting with sunglasses on, so I apologize. If there's no other questions from the administration or the board members, do we have any questions from YouTube Live?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
If there's no other discussion at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we
Kane
have
will
a
second that. Kane will second.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Smolik,
No.
Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
The motion carries with a vote of 3 yes and 1 no.
Okay, you guys are all set to go. As I've mentioned a few times earlier this evening, we will have a signed copy at the, sent to you in the next few days to early next week. And all you need to do is square away your permit with the building department and you guys will be all set.
Excellent.
Thank you
folks
very much.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the next application?
Mr. Chairman, I do believe we have Mr. Barton ready to go.
Okay.
Would you like me to read this for a third time?
I'm sorry, but I think you should.
I'll do it. Okay, applicant Keith Barton, MBD Homes LLC, 39186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner Keith Martin, 39186 Center Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Request an appeal of the chief building official's decision to require said applicant to install a sidewalk citing NRCO section 1024.05 A and B. Location 37740 Sugar Ridge Road in an R1 Residence District. Permanent parcel number 07-00-035-101-077. Chief Building Official's comments. 1024.05 A and B. New dwellings are required to have city sidewalks when there is an existing city sidewalk within 2,000 feet. Existing city sidewalk less than 500 feet away.
Thank you. And Mr. Martin, can you hear us this time?
I can hear you guys perfectly fine.
All right, fantastic. Sir, if you could please state your name and address for the record and I will swear you in.
It is Keith Martin. My address is 33339 Chestnut Ridge Road, North Ridgeville, 44039.
Thank you, sir. Do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalty of the law of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your request to overturn the chief building official's decision?
So basically over in that area, I don't recall a sidewalk, and there is other houses being built that are on some side streets that have not had walks. The biggest thing is just the problem that we will have. There's tons of telephone poles on that property. There is a septic system that you see that is on that property, and there's no storm sewer. So that asphalt road, all that water comes down into that area, and aesthetically it just won't work. It's going to be an eyesore and probably actually problems later down life for the city when they take as the city sidewalks responsibilities. It's just the contour, the aesthetics won't fit in that area. The development across the street doesn't have sidewalks as well. So we're kind of on a corner lot, and there's really no, just for aesthetics, it's going to look really bad, in my opinion.
From the aesthetic standpoint, in your opinion that it's going to look bad, could you please explain to me, elaborate a little bit more on that? Because it appears to me that I've been by the property a number of times, that the grade is pretty much consistent with the area. And I'm not quite sure how a sidewalk would be standing out.
Well, with the telephone poles that are on the property, they're going to weave and out, and they're not going to be in the right of way because with all the utilities that are right there. So the walks are going to not be straight. We're going to have to move them around a lot, and especially with a septic mound right there as well. It's just not going to fit. And we're going to probably have to put it behind the property lines if we had to do that. And with the drainage over there, because with all this heavy rain we get all that water off the asphalt roads, and with a sidewalk there and the fire hydrants, it's just going to be maintenance for the city as well as for us as well. And that's what we're looking at. And we're just kind of actually looking at that. It's going to go to nowhere because no neighbor has them on each side of us. So no one walks on that main drag anyways. And that's what we're looking at.
You came in front of this board not too long ago for the variance for this property, correct?
Correct, I did.
Were you
Yes.
aware at that time of the sidewalk ordinance?
I was aware of, but I did not, as again, I'm pretty far away and they say 500 feet from the next sidewalk. I do not see that. I drove up and down that road. If there is one, it's closer to Line Drive. There was a house built by another builder on that did not put one in. That's even closer to that sidewalk. So I assumed I was far enough away and I had nothing in that area because it says if you're within 1,500 feet, I believe, in your ordinance, which I assumed that I was far enough away from that I did not require one.
Mr. Frozen, could you please let us know from your notes that there is a sidewalk less than 500 feet away? Which sidewalk were you talking about?
Are you referring to me?
No, Mr. Fursden, are you still there?
Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir. I believe on the south side of Sugar Ridge Road, approximately 500 feet to the east, when we looked at the aerial photos at county, there was a sidewalk there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from any board members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have some questions and comments.
Yes, sir.
The applicant referred to the issue with the proposed septic mound, but that septic mound has to be installed outside the right of way. So I'm not sure how that would interfere with the proposed sidewalk. I don't know if the applicant, I don't know if the applicant could maybe shed some more light on that.
We are in our property, you're correct on that aspect, but with the sidewalk though, with that busy traffic on that road there and the poles right there, if you guys actually, I don't know if you actually drove by and saw, there's quite a bit of telephone poles there. And so those are in the way, and that's what I was referring to, because we're gonna have to deviate from those sidewalks and come in on my property closer to those septic mounds to get away from that. We're not gonna be able, it's gonna have like turns, tons of turns in there. I wanna say we have at least 4 to 5 high-powered telephone poles, power poles on that property. So, and they are hindering the sidewalk is what I'm getting at. So doing that, we're gonna have to move the sidewalks more into our property, which would put us closer to our septic mound.
Are you referring to Sugar Ridge, right?
Correct. Sugar Ridge and Race
Right.
Road. You got
Right.
poles on Race Road and there's some poles on Sugar Ridge, especially on the corner.
I'm looking at the proposed topo for the house, and those utility poles sit approximately 1 foot within the right of way. And so basically they would be perfect for the walk to go in. Because sidewalk usually sits 1 foot off the right of way. So actually the poles couldn't be any better location than they are. And I guess unless, I mean, I've always wanted to install sidewalks throughout town, and I'm going to still continue that stand until city council gives us better direction on this issue. I think that's why I'm going to lean. I know we've had quite a few homes on Sugar Ridge where we had them install sidewalks or roads similar to Sugar Ridge for new home construction. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
can I follow up on Mr. Smolik's comment? In last year, council actually modified this particular ordinance to take out some of the exemptions regarding sidewalks, and they were making a strong statement in support of sidewalks everywhere. That's their goal as well.
thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yes, I just want to reiterate that same comment. We did make action with that. And the second comment, I think the sidewalk in question on the east part of the road is 37387 Sugar Ridge, for the record, is the one I think has the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from the administration? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments from YouTube Live?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
If there's no other questions or comments, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to entertain a motion to uphold the building commissioner's ruling on the issue.
Do we have a second?
Kane will second that for sure.
Just to clarify, a vote in the affirmation is to uphold the chief building official's determination, just so everyone's on the same page. Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Smolik,
Yes.
Thibodeau, Mr. Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
The motion carries with a vote of 4-0.
Mr. Martin, thank you for getting all of your technical issues straightened out and bearing with us. And you're all set for this evening.
All right, thanks, sir.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the final application?
Applicant Lauren Garcher, 38833 Edwin Avenue, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Owner, same. Requesting approval for a 6-foot tall and 100% closed fence, a 2.5-foot height variance to NRCO section 129401 H1B, and a 100% closed construction, a variance to section 129401 H3. Location, 38833 Edwin Avenue in an RS1 Special Residence District, permanent parcel number 07-00-045-103-009 and 010. Chief Building Officials comments. Looking to install a 6-foot tall white vinyl solid fence beyond the side of the, oh, excuse me, that was the owner's comments. Chief Building Officials comments, 129401 H1B, fences in residential districts from front line of building to street shall be 3.5 foot high and 50% open. Applicant requesting 6-foot high fence, 100% closed, requiring a 2.5 foot height variance.
Thank you. Do we have a applicant here this evening?
Yes, sir.
Is there a representative for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
With us this evening?
Larry Garcher.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear him? He is on site at City Hall, sitting at the table. Can you hear him?
Oh, okay. I can, a little bit. I was
Okay.
looking for a picture of someone on Zoom and didn't see it, so.
Okay.
Sir, if you could please state your name and address for the record, and I'll swear you in.
Lawrence Garcher, 38833 Edwin Avenue, North Ridgeville, 44039.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make in front of this Board of Zoning and Building Appeals for the City of North Ridgeville are true as you shall answer unto God or under the penalties of the law of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please tell us a little bit about your application?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my application is basically a mirrored image of the proposal from Nancy Robinson. She was brought up a little bit earlier this evening. We are coming in here and doing this together. My fence is going to be the exact same height, same color, same style, and I'm doing it for the exact same reasons and location.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it did seem very similar to one earlier today, so I'm glad you pointed that out. And exactly like I had mentioned for the first applicant, the seems to be no issue with any sort of visibility obstruction or safety hazard. And I believe it'll blend in perfectly well with your neighbor. Are there any questions or comments from any board members?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a question. This is Larry Garcher again.
Yes, sir.
Nancy, I talked to her earlier this evening. She plans on getting a permit and having the fence built within the next 2 weeks. We had a little bit of an issue with the family member passing because of the COVID. So things kind of got put on the back burner for us. If we do get approval for this, what is the deadline for me to be able to actually get it installed?
2 years.
2 years? Okay. I just got the answer. That's what I needed to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Furzin, for letting him know that. Are there any other questions or comments from any board members?
If you don't take action within 2 years, then it's null and void. You'd have to come back.
Okay. No, we plan on doing it in the spring.
Are there any questions or comments from the administration or YouTube Live?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Holly Swank here, Ward 1 City Council. I'm here on behalf of Stephen Paddocky, 38836 Watson Avenue. He also owns the lot directly next to Mr. Garcher's property on Edwin Avenue.
Okay.
He's disabled at the moment, and he called me and asked if I could come on his behalf. He's okay with the fence. He just wants Mr. Garcher to, keep it enough off of his property, so if he has to maintain it, he's not coming onto his property. He requests that there's no more grass planting, no tree cutting, no dumping of grass, leaves, etc. And he wanted to also notice that, or make note that he put no trespassing signs up on his property.
All of that is noted. Thank you very much. If there's no other correspondence, at this time, the chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Smolik seconds.
Will the clerk please take roll?
Kane,
Yes.
Smolik,
Yes.
Thibodeau,
Yes.
and Kimball.
Yes.
The motion carries with a vote of 4-0.
And as I'm sure you've heard me say it a few times this evening, sir, we will have a signed copy mailed out to you here shortly in the next few days.
Well, that's maintenance free. Then you don't need to go on
And
this.
you'll be all set to go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in and waiting patiently. Is there any other business to come in front of the board this evening? Hearing none, at this time, the chair makes a motion to adjourn. All those signify by aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Hey,
Good night,
thanks,
everyone.
Sean,
Stay
man. You
safe.
did good getting this thing going. 6 was a lot.
Yes, it was. And I'm going to go try to catch the last inning of our baseball game. So
There you
I'm going to
go.
go, guys. All right.
All right.
See ya.
All right.
Good night,
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.